and welcome to this short video. My name is Barbie Svetec. I work at the Faculty of Organization and Informatics of the University of Zagreb, and I'm going to present to you the Balanced Learning Design Planning tool on a practical example of an already existing course which has been planned in the tool. So now I'll go to already prepared teaching and learning activity, for example, discussion based on reading videos and known experiences. We have a description here, and then for the learning type, we chose discussion, of course. In terms of workload, we added 90 minutes because it includes both some sort of preparation for discussion and then taking part in the actual discussion. The activity would be done online, it would be synchronous and without teacher present. It would include collaboration, it would not include working groups, but if it included working groups, then we could add group sizes here. It says here that there would be no feedback, but we could put, yes, there would be feedback from peers because it would be a discussion. It would include assessment, which would be formative, but it could also in some other activities be summative. It would lead to 2 assessment points, and the assessment provider would be peers. So this is an example of one activity, and we can, in the same manner, plan all the other activities in all the other topics, which contribute to, of course, the entire course. After we've planned all the teaching and learning activities within all the topics that you can see here on the list, we can go to the next tab, which is the analysis. And here we can take some sort of a bird's eye view of our course and take maybe a deeper look at what we've designed, and is it really in line with what we had in mind when planning the design. So we can take a look at learner workload. First, we can see how much is dedicated, how much of our activities is related to acquisition, discussion, investigation, practice, production, assessment, so TLA types that I mentioned before. And sometimes, for example, you would want to have focused on work-based learning, and you, for example, have no practice and no production, and this would signal to you that there's maybe some need for adjustments in your design. We also have to plan to see if the ECTS credits that we assigned to our course actually correspond with the workload in hours, which we have foreseen for our students. So for example, here we planned 2 ECTS credits, and in terms of hours assigned to the students' workload, this would be around 2.23. This would correspond to approximately 2.23 ECTS points. So this is basically fine. And then we can go into details related to each of the topics, and we can see for each of the topics how much workload is foreseen. So here, for example, we have 11 hours. And what are the types of teaching and learning activities, and are they in line with our planned pedagogical approach? On the right-hand side, you can see different kinds of analysis. So you can analyze the modes of delivery, how much is done online, how much is done on site or in other modes, how much is done synchronously and asynchronously, and is the teacher present or not present. You can also analyze collaboration, feedback, group activities, assessment. And another useful thing is that you can sort of put in the relation the learning outcomes and the weights that you assigned to your learning outcomes at the beginning. So how important you found each of the learning outcomes to be in relation to the entire course. And you can put them in relation to the assessment points related to each of the learning outcomes. Okay, so for example, sometimes you can see here that you find a learning outcome really important, and you've assigned it with a really high relative weight. But on the other hand, in terms of assessment, you have barely a few points and much less than for some other learning outcomes. So this can be also a signal to you that maybe you need to take another look and look for maybe more symmetry in this division. And at the end, we have assessment and learning outcomes again compared. Here on the horizontal part, we have again learning outcomes with their assigned weights. And on the vertical part, we have the topics, and we can see how each of the topics contributes to each of the learning outcomes. So this can also serve analytical purposes, and the ultimate goal is to have 100% in the bottom line for each of the learning outcomes. If that's not accomplished, then it also signals you that maybe you need to make some adjustments to the learning design. And finally, we have the export tab, which gives you sort of an overview of everything you've done in the entire course, and enables you to export this to PDF or Excel to maybe check it better, or in our case, upload it to the Moodle. So I hope this was useful, and good luck with preparing your learning design in the BDP tool.